Morning, Nino.
How you doing? Good morning.
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Not too bad. I had a bench trial this morning. It went all right. Suspect had got resisting, robbery, and like felony possession of thermite. But I was able to get that thermite dropped because apparently people use thermite fuses, not thermite charges, and so technically those thermite fuses that everyone's using are not legal, though I imagine that law is going to change today.
I see. Well, that is awesome, and congratulations on that.
Yep. So I'm gonna, here's the reality of how I see everything, right? The way that I interpret, because everything needs to be based on what's interpreting what I think was said in the meeting with the judges. Obviously, they're not 100% on exactly how things are going to be laid out, but at least we are privy to the general vision. And my understanding at the most zoomed out level, without getting it in the nitty gritty, because I think the nitty gritty can change at any moment, so I'd rather focus on the big meat and potatoes of what's coming, is that there's going to be 2 districts, whatever the fuck you want to call it, 2 jurisdictions, a mayor for each, and the mayor inherently is responsible for building around him or her whatever they feel fit. So instead of 8 votes, there is the singular vote. How that singular vote comes to be can either be through a division of power, right? Sort of like an electoral college is kind of a good way, is how I envision it, right? So in other words, like a state votes for a candidate, but technically internally there's like X number of votes. You kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. The electoral or the pseudo electoral college would be staffed by
months.
people who are elected themselves, is what you're saying?
Exactly. So in other words, the mayor's vote at a state level is the only one that matters, right? As to whether or not legislation passes. But internal to that, the mayor. Okay, sorry. Let me rephrase. My understanding is that the mayor's vote in a particular jurisdiction is the only one that ultimately matters at a state level. So in other words, if the mayor decides to run an entire, jurisdiction himself, he can choose to do so. If he chooses to have his own council, he can choose to do so, right? And so there's a lot of malleability that's afforded to us, and specifically in regards to you, Abilene, we don't need to worry about judges and lawyers and how the whole voting goes. I can just say, Abilene, I'd like you in our cabinet, if you would accept.
Well, if you're officially asking, yeah, I would accept that.
Okay, good shit.
I'm interested because we never got a chance to touch on it, but the idea of the state or city having an attorney general. Now, I don't know how that feat would work, or if that would be something that's appointed as a mayor, but I feel like that would probably be a chair that's up for a general election, if that ever existed.
Yeah, the way that I'm sort of envisioning it is I want to, so there's a couple ways I've been chopping up. I've been doing a lot of thinking in regards to like everything, right? And I think in order for, is it what is it? What are they calling it? They're not calling it a jurisdiction. They're calling it, what do they call it? County, right?
A county boundary, essentially.
Yeah. Is that I think it would behoove the administration not to add too much bureaucracy. So like in terms of, I think internal policies, there should be some, but it doesn't need to be laden with the level of policy that probably the consul would have needed. And this is primarily because ultimately that cabinet, whatever it looks like, is, in my vision, similar to how like the U.S. presidential cabinet looks like, or how a governance body in a state would look like. In other words, someone is elected and then they have people that have ownership of a certain segment, and they are the subject matter experts, and it behooves, you know, the mayor, governor, president to lean on them being like the primary opinion on the matter, and I effectively being the person you turn to make decisions. And I think that sort of system is kind of what I'm spitballing. And I think anything more than that, at least until we hear more, would just be unnecessary bureaucracy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think like in terms of like, you know, do you get voted in, this and that? I kind of look at it like attorney general sounds cool. You would be effectively, this position would mean that you're like the legal expert, right? If we got stuff coming in, you are the voice we turn to. You are the person that knows who to go pull at. You're the person that can pull at the judges if needed to. So like whatever's being discussed in that cabinet, we're like, okay, what's going on? Obviously me and Kit are going to have the legal background, but you're going to be like the player on the field that we're going to pump resources into to make sure you got everything you need on that front. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's actually a perfect structure.
Yeah.
My question to you is, what are your thoughts on the existence of a district attorney's office? I mean, I've read history books, and it seems to be something that has been enabled in the past. And I think a district attorney office acts, you know, should act and does act on the benefit of the police department with these matters, and resolves arguments quicker. And go ahead.
I think that is a discussion that should be had. However, I'm going to be fully transparent. I don't think the state's going to want a DA. And I can tell you, I would be shocked if the state would even entertain that. I think there's a second issue, regardless of how we might feel about it. But it's not clear to me how much the police department in a jurisdiction, how much power they have over the actual police department itself. You know what I mean?
What about this? What if there was a legislation that was drafted that, or similar guideline, I don't know about legislation, but required the police department to keep at least one general counsel on board that?
Ooh, I like that, but I think what you're describing is something that goes beyond fixing the fundamentals first. So I think as a part of the grander conversation that should be had, and this is probably more post-election, is what is our phase one plans, right? Phase one would be, what are the things that need to be done to ensure a functioning, transparent government, right? And then what would phase two be, which is, all right, now that the foundation is strong, what is the next layer we're going to attack? And then where would what you just described land in there? My gut tells me that this goes beyond ground zero. It'd be like a phase one or a phase two, like after phase zero. You know what I mean?
You know what I'm going to do? I am going to draft up a document for my thoughts and suggestions on a phase one, and then by tomorrow morning or afternoon, I will send you that document.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
I love it. Okay. I like this a lot. So you're in?
What are you, the bar situation, is the head of bar seat that's still going to exist? 'Cause
no.
I think technically that was a council sort of.
Oh, consul is gone as far as I understand it. There is no there is no head of bar. There is no, and that's kind of what I want you to become, effectively, is that the like what I would like. I think, honestly, jumping back to my original campaign points, I would actually forego even any thoughts of a DA's office right now. I don't think we're there yet. Instead, I think it's more important that that you run the helm for starting effectively a bar association. And that means let's get attorneys, let's get them trained, let's get new ones in order. Let's prove to the state that we can actually manage bar licenses internal and handle internal ethics issues. And this is coming from a place of like being a bar license attorney for a long time, is that in the past, as time goes on, attorneys leave, and eventually the last ones left spend all their time attacking each other with ethics complaints. And what ends up happening is it creates a very, let's just say, toxic workplace environment. And I want to get ahead of it and say, let's produce lawyers that are more cooperative than antagonistic. And if we can get ahead of that, I think there's a lot of cool things we can do.
Yeah, that's kind of a culture that's going to need to be fostered through setting examples, because lawyers are naturally sharky, snappy.
Yeah, which I think is, honestly, I think is completely fine if like two lawyers like go at each other. But I'm mostly pointing at like this ethics board bullshit, where it's just like petty bullshit that fucks everyone over. The amount of times, Abilene, I've seen lawyers getting prepped for a court case and then going, well, I can't see your case anymore because someone put an ethics review in because I told the commissioner he can, suck my dick or something. And now all of a sudden, like two people's petty bullshit turned into like, 24 individual getting fucked over. You know what I mean?
Well, my idea right off the bat from that is there should be a review of the attorney guidelines. Go over them, make sure, none of the guidelines are frivolous, include really hardcore stuff like serious conflict issues, a serious breach of contract from a lawyer did, things like that. And then set the precedent that you do not file a complaint without citing something in the attorney guidelines. If you file any complaint that doesn't immediately cite the guidelines that are violated, your complaint will go in the trash.
I love this. Yes. You know what, Abilene, I think you already know what to do. I'm going to let you cook.
Yeah, I got this.
All right. Hell yeah. If you have any questions, concerns, let me know. We're probably going live with the campaign today. I've been chewing on it. Originally, I was going to wait till I was back over the weekend, but we have a strong enough team, and I think we got to get ahead of it, especially with this announcement about this,
What time so I can work my personal schedule to definitely be there?
I think as soon as we get a little bit of quorum. I just want to make sure the others understand, and there's no we want to do a launch party, this and that. I mean, fuck, like calling it a launch party. Let's just get the website out there and just start promoting. And then any official stuff, we'll let you know. I'm going to also get you brought into our email chain so you're up to date on things. We've been using it for like categorizing things, artwork, etc. Get artwork made for you, update the website with your name, all that kind of stuff. Hell, we might even give you a section on there so you have a place to like display what you're looking to bring. You know what I mean?
Put out my narrative on things.
Exactly.
Okay. So by tomorrow, I'm going to have you a draft proposal and what we talked about, and I'll be in touch today for when you watch this.
Easy. All right. Thank you so much, Abilene. I appreciate you.
Bye, Nino. Thank you.
Anytime. Take care.